Hi everybody. Oh, pretty day, huh? I thought maybe we could get some live action fish catching going on. See the guy in the boat out there? And there's two shore fishers here, and there's another shore fisher over there. So, can you tell where I am? I'm at the famous. There's one kind of fancy word that everybody in Eau Claire knows, but everybody else might not. Confluence, where two rivers come together, right? So I'm at the confluence of the Eau Claire and the Chippewa River. We got the Confluence Center. We got to see just the edge of the Pablo Center, Performing Arts. Boy, I saw a nice concert there Saturday. I saw the great Jane Schultz out there. She was at the jazz concert. She was just raving about it. I said, it's a great concert, but I was at the other one. Kind of a little trip down memory lane for me, but I don't know if you know, they're not like chart-topping artists, but they're famous among what kind of the folk contemporary singer-songwriter in the 90s and early 00s. But John Gorka was here, Patty Larkin was here, Lucy Kaplansky was here, and a guy named Cliff Eberhardt. And anyway, they're singer-songwriters, and those first three, I have several of their cassettes and CDs from way back. So it was great fun. And they sang songs that I knew, and afterwards, Lucy Kaplansky was there selling things, and I got to talk to her for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Nobody was behind me. I didn't think I was monopolizing her time, but anyway, it was great fun. It's nice to you get old, so I'm on the edge of 60, and those were people that I listened to in my 20s and 30s a lot. And if you're into music, people that you listen to really kind of shape some of your attitudes toward life, maybe, and what you think is beautiful and good and true. Just like the gospel should, right? If we go to Mass regularly, that's what shapes what we think is good and beautiful and true. Whatever we expose ourselves to affects us. So that's a lesson, right? It's like that. You are what you eat. You become what you see. You become what you read. Hopefully, we have a critical faculty in our brains too. We can see things and say, "Oh, that's bad. I don't want that." But anyway, there was just something about seeing all those people playing together that really touched me. So anyway, I'm glad we have a performing arts center in town. Oh, the boat's coming to shore, huh? Maybe he's going to get out. We'll see. He'll cast his nets to the right side of the boat and get a great catch. Ooh, speaking of which, The Chosen, right? So we're going to have a showing of season 2, episode 1 of The Chosen. Not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, March 2nd. And that'll be good. It's all about, there's different things that it's about, but it really features heavily St. James the Greater, what they call Big James in that series. So fans of The Chosen, come and enjoy. If you've never heard of it, come and see what it's all about. If you're like I was a couple years ago and you've heard of it but thought it was just kind of a fringy thing you might not like, that's for other kinds of Christians, check it out. That's a friend of mine, Mark, told me to he goes, just watch this one episode. It's about St. James, and you're a pastor of St. James. So anyway, I did, and I thought, oh, this is great. This is nice. And I'm going to the theaters. The season 4 is coming out in chunks of 3 episodes, but you gotta pay. Usually they're free on the app. And but I understand they need to make some money so they can get. It's mostly crowdfunded, but so they can produce future seasons. Pay people a fair wage. And anyway, I saw episodes 4, 5, and 6 in Wausau on Monday. I know a bunch of people from St. James are going tonight in Chippewa Falls to watch it, so I'll be curious to chat about it with them. But I loved. I don't think it's a spoiler. Hope not. This season, Jesus is just getting really sad, and I think he knows the passion's coming. But that's not what makes him as sad as. I don't think that's really what makes him sad at all. I mean, he does. There was a scene where he was witnessing people making olive oil by crushing olives, and it was a beautiful scene, really. It's like he was seeing in the olives being crushed his future and his passion, carrying the cross and being crucified. And, you know, it made him cry, you know, because he knows what's coming. But I don't think it makes him as sad, actually, as what makes him sad in this series is when his apostles who are with him and who hear him preaching and who witness his healing all the time don't get it. They don't live their lives according to his gospel of, if you want to be first, take the last place, and serve your neighbor, and they're fighting about who's going to be number one, the greatest of the apostles, and sitting at his right and left and all that, and he just gets so sad about that. And he talks to his mother Mary, which is nice. He has these heart-to-hearts with Mary once in a while. And he says, when I preach, they're right on the edge of my every word. And they get it, and they say they understand it, and they're inspired, and they want more. That's why they're following me, because my words inspire them. But then they don't act on my words. They don't act on my words. They talk. They're still so self-centered and worried about who's first and all that. And you could watch that and say, yeah, those stupid apostles. But that's a lot of me in that. I mean, I think I'm doing what I'm doing because I've been inspired by the good news, by the teachings of Jesus and his life, his giving himself away, the Eucharist that embodies all of that. I certainly am not free of self-centered thinking. So I hope I don't grieve the heart of Jesus so much, but I'm sure we do sometimes. I do. But my favorite part of these 3 episodes was he meets Mary and Martha, right? And so in Luke, chapter 11 at the end, or maybe 12, I think 11, he, where Martha's doing all the work of hospitality and Mary is just sitting and soaking in his words. And Martha says, tell Mary to help me. And in the Bible, Jesus just says, Martha, Martha, you're anxious and upset about many things. One thing alone is necessary. Mary has chosen the better part, and it shall not be taken from her. Right? And but it's much longer. That's what's great about The Chosen. They have a really good imagination, I think, and their writing, and you can see Martha just busy in the back, putting all the finishing touches on the treats for all the guests, the 12 apostles and Jesus, and Mary's doing nothing. She's just soaking it in, but in a real beautiful way, just smiling and so enjoying Jesus' presence. And then in the end, Jesus is so gentle with Martha. In the gospel story in the Bible, you can say, well, he's kind of rough, and people get kind of defensive, saying, because we identify with Martha. Who's going to do the work if I don't, And in the full room, he goes, Martha, come sit next to me. He kind of pats the couch, and she sits next to him. And he basically says, what you do is very valuable. Hospitality is so important, and everything you're doing is important. But everything that you're working on now, as good as it is and as needed as it is, it's going to pass away. But my words, while I'm talking here to everybody, they will never pass away. So you need to listen to me when I'm here, because I share the words of eternal life. And he's just very gentle with her. And then he goes, and, Mary could have helped you more, probably. He goes, so that was a great little line, he says with a smile. And then Mary, after Jesus goes but with the rest of the apostles, Mary comes up to Martha and she apologizes. I should have helped you more, sister, Yeah, so I don't know what you think of that, but that was great. I hope it's not a spoiler alert for you. You'll love it if you see it. Much better than me talking about it. Hey, I went to the St. Olaf Fish Fry last Friday. It was a nice day. It was cold. I didn't think it was going to be so cold. So I wanted to walk to our neighbors' own chickadees on 3rd and Vine. And they have a good fish fry. So I'll walk down and say hi to the neighbors. And well, by golly, I knew they closed early, but I just had a heck of a hard time getting out of the office. I was going to leave at 3, then I was going to leave at 3:30. I left at about 5 to 4, 10 to 4. Anyway, I got there at 4:10 and it was closed. It closes at 4. So I was like, oh, and I walked. And so then I walked back and the wind was biting. It was like 17, 15 degrees that day. Well, here it's a few days later. I rode my bike down here. It's like very nice out. And anyway, so I thought, well, what's God's plan now? I can't eat here. I said, well, I should probably go to the church fish fry. Where is it going? So I got on. Ann had told me about fish fryer app, website that tells you where the fish fries are in the diocese. So indeed, it was St. Olaf's. I'm like, oh, good. So walked back, froze my face, got in the car, head out to St. Olaf's, and the line wasn't actually that long. I thought the line was super, super long. I was going to go to the Amber Inn, but it wasn't. And it was nice. That's the St. Olaf's Men's Club runs that, and they were kind, and they gave me a free pass. They wouldn't take my money, so that was nice of them. And then I saw the Mainers were there from St. James, and so I sat by them for dinner, and met a few new people too. It was good. And one woman said, I think I should know you. And I said, yeah, how dare you not know me? And she said, I had my collar on, so I was clearly a priest. And she said, oh, are you the one who rides your bicycle? So I'm like, well, I guess so. I didn't know I was famous for that. But anyway, she'd heard about a priest that rode his bicycle around town. So that's good. Anyway, so if you can, I recommend all those fish. I think it goes back and forth in Lent. So St. Olaf's last Friday, Immaculate Conception this Friday, St. Olaf's the following Friday. So you just better check just to make sure you don't go to the wrong place. But if you go to one place and it's closed, then go to the other place. They're not that far apart. St. Raymond's has their fish fry, I think, every Friday in Lent, and it's very good. Longer drive, but it's, part of our deanery, so it's good stuff. We had our own event. We had our chili feed, which I mentioned on the chat. It happened Saturday after Mass. It was wonderful. There were like 15 different types, crock pots full of chili, and just by donation. I didn't get the totals of what they made, but I think even they would say the fun was the community and seeing people enjoy themselves. And Susan, who's one of our OCIA candidates, becoming Catholic at Easter, she made with her husband Bob's ground venison, Brett Favre's chili. And I was like, what's that? And it's like, well, we used to go to the Packer games, and he had a restaurant, and he came out to meet us, and I said, this is really good chili, and it sounded like they were being a little, having fun, little innocent, chaste flirtation. And anyway, she wrangled the chili recipe out of him. So, and she said if I behave, that maybe she'll give it to me someday. But it was excellent. If you really need some protein, it's a heavy, heavy protein. And because it was venison, it wasn't very fatty, So, I mean, I wrangled some leftovers. I took some sour cream containers that were empty and put chili in them. And I heated up. Sometimes you heat up those things that have meat and it's just like half grease. This isn't, It was just really good. So, and there were 14 others that were just incredible. So that was a great, fun event. It was after the parish feedback, so we had listening sessions about how did you experience having Mass with the altar closer to the assembly? What do you think about having the choir move over by removing some pews on the as you look at the altar on the very left side? So we had that. I'm not going to say too much about that right now because we haven't really talked about it as a committee and all that, but for the most part, it's good. It got a little sharp, I thought, at some points, which disappointed me, but overall, I think people were just kind of humbly said, well, this is what I think about it, and thanks to Nick and Becky and Val and Joe and two Joes oh no, it wasn't the other Joe, wasn't Joe, it was Charlie. So thanks to those guys for helping facilitate that. I just kind of sat there. I chimed in a few things to clarify, but it's all good. Just trying to figure out to do what's best to keep our parish and our liturgy as vibrant as we can. So, okay. What else we got? Parish news. Let's see. Oh, golly, I had this. As much as I try to keep all this stuff together, I always forget something. I scratched down some parish news on an envelope, and by golly, it's not here. Hey, the main thing is the parish mission. So I can hardly believe it. I just feel like life goes on, and you have Mass week after week, and it's good to be. Well, I'll be at Mass, but I'm not preaching this weekend. It'll be because we have our parish mission is starting. So Father Corradi comes with us, and very popular preacher and teacher, and he was pastor at St. Olaf's, where I had my fish fry for many years. He oversaw the construction of their beautiful church up there, and good guy. Heart of St. Francis. He likes the Franciscan spirituality, and his topic will be gospel discipleship. So what is it to be a follower of Jesus according to the good news that he preached? And it'll be good. And those will be talks will all be at 6 o'clock in the evening, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, this Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And there'll be one on Monday at noon. I don't know the numbers. Is it 25th, 26th, 27th? And then the 26th, the Monday, that'll be at noon. If you have a hard time getting out at night, if you go to all the evening ones, the Monday one might be a little repetitive, but maybe that's reinforcing and good. You're welcome. And for all of these things, there'll be food. So simple soup meals will begin at 5:15, and then we found last time there was too much space between the meal and the beginning of the talk, and people were getting a little restless. And I think we started at 5, talks at 6 last year. So we're starting the meals at 5:15, and the talks will be at 6. It won't go beyond an hour, I don't think. I think he plans to talk for a certain time and then invite some comments or questions or engage the people a little bit. But most of you know Father Corradi and are looking forward to that. So that's good. Is there anything else to say about that? I don't know. I just have such fun on Parish Mission Week. Maybe because I don't have to. It's also my favorite part of my ministry too, is being with people and leading and preaching and all that. But it's nice to have a weekend off, and I can just focus on being with folks and not worry about the other stuff. So looking forward to that. However, so again, I just want so people know, I certainly wouldn't want to discourage anyone from attending another important event in Eau Claire Church. They tried to do it on a different date after I told them about the conflict, but said they couldn't. So they have Father Sakowski's coming from over from Wausau. He used to serve in Altoona, and he will be, as I've mentioned, giving 2 evening talks at 6:30. So ours are at 6. These St. Olaf's ones are at 6:30 on Monday and Tuesday. And it's about trauma and healing and loss, how to cope with all that in good faith, and what was the catalyst for scheduling these talks was the announcement of the closure of Sacred Heart Hospital in Eau Claire, St. Joseph Hospital in Chippewa Falls, and the Prevea clinics in the area. So if that's where your heart is, and you think that would be most helpful for you, please go there, and you can have no worries about not being seen in our parish mission. Or you can come to our Monday talk and our Tuesday evening talk, and the other talks at St. Olave's. So we'll see what happens. But there's some great offerings for you this Lent to do something that the churches, ours and others, are offering for your Lent. So good. I was reading a little about the school kids. We had school mass today. Yeah. Well, speaking of preaching last week, I felt like the preaching finally came together for me at the 10 o'clock mass at the end, and someone gave me some feedback to that effect. And so it was about the wild beasts. I told a story about that skunk that was casing the joint when I was camping, was sniffing all around my tent and being scared of the wild beasts, and how Jesus had wild beasts in the wilderness, but was patiently endured and experienced the ministry of angels to help him, go forward and withstand the challenges of the night. And I think just a nice summary at the end, I only remembered to say at the 10 o'clock, was because Jesus said he was tempted by Satan. And sometimes there's just I don't talk a lot about Satan or think a lot about Satan, to be honest with you. But when we're really trying to change, I think it's actually helpful for me to think about Satan, that when we try to change and be in deeper communion with God, grow closer to God, Satan doesn't like that. And that's why he tormented Jesus in the desert and tempted him. And because Jesus was on his way to save the world, and the devil doesn't like that. He doesn't want Jesus just saying yes to his Father in heaven all the time. So tried to derail him, but failed. And so anyway, I just thought, Satan will always send his wild beasts at us, things to frighten us, things to intimidate us, things to take us off course. But when you're experiencing that, know that as scary as that can be, God is stronger. And while Satan sends the wild beasts, God sends his angels. And sometimes we just have to wait on them. They don't come, at our command. But they come when we stay the course and we keep trying to be good, faithful and loving people. So, okay. Anyway, if that message didn't get across last weekend, I wanted to make sure it did now. Hey, look at this. Who's this? Beach bums, right? That's see Jackie and Chuck. Chuck's in the middle. He's always humble. You can hardly see his face. And Jackie's the blonde gal, right? From Parish. So you know them. So they're at our sister Parish, getting a little R&R between work. But she did write me a note along with it. They weren't just gloating. Hey, look at us on the beach. But our sister Parish is near the beach, and it's really. But she wrote this to us today. Hola, that means hello. From Puerto Rico to Social Concerns Committee and others. We are enjoying our time here very much. So this parish is our sister parish, and they had the hurricane, so we went down there with a delegation a few times. I've been there once, and we help them with work projects. We're enjoying our time, and we have plenty of time, free time to enjoy the beauty. We had an overnight in Culebra, a beautiful island of the diocese. We received enough money from St. James to cover almost the entire cost for fixing the roof, putting up a fence, and paint. She doesn't say of what, but I think I know. It's a satellite church where they have mass, but it's not their main church. Or maybe it is their main church, but I know they're working on this other chapel to set it up, to repair it and get it in working order. Just like St. Francis, right? Rebuilding the church. I'm attaching a couple of pictures of the roof repair. I did not get that on the email. I got this picture here, and I got a picture of flowers. So I think that attachment didn't work, but maybe next week I can show that. So what we have to look forward to are pictures of the roof repair, beauty, and wonderful people. The chapel parishioners are all very elderly, in their 80s or older, and they are so very appreciative. Hoping all is well at St. James, Jackie and Chuck. So thanks for them for representing our parish down at our sister parish. Next year, there's some people interested in going, by all means. A lot of options next year. Next year, so on June 25, Holy Land Pilgrim scheduled. Keep praying for peace there. Hope for a just resolution to all the problems that have caused this war. And we pray for that. And then February 26th, Father Bryce will be gone. Still looking for a priest companion for the June 25. I can do it by myself too, but it's nice to have someone else split up the masses and things. Anyway, so I hope people consider that. And if it's feeling dangerous, then we cancel. You can back out. But hopefully things will be resolved by then. It's quite a while yet. I heard an interview, only half of it on a podcast. A journalist from the U.S. got a hold of a journalist from Gaza, a woman, and who was in Rafah now, had been living in Gaza City. What a heartbreaking but important thing to hear. It wasn't just like a 2-minute report. It was like a 45-minute conversation. I got through like 25 minutes of it before I arrived at my destination and had to stop. But she's been separated from her children. 3 of her, an uncle and a sibling and a cousin have died in the bombings. She's like, we don't know. There's really nowhere for us to go now. We're in Rafah. And she said it's so crowded here because, the population's all shifted down toward the south, that when you go outside, it's like She made it sound like it was like Times Square on New Year's Eve. Like you have to ask people to move a little bit if you have to, get to another building or someplace. It just sounds really hellish. And what made her choke up the most though was it came out like halfway through the interview. She said, "Because what do you most miss?" And she said, "My daughters." She said, "Oh, you have children? They're not with you?" "No, I'm divorced, and my husband thought they'd be safer with him in the north, and I went south." So we hope all that comes to an end soon. And then the other news, the Ukraine. Did you hear about a lot of this? Maybe I've just talked about in the parish bulletin. I'm not going to give the whole talk about the incense, at least today, but I wrote about the incense that we use and where it comes from and how it's made in this week's bulletin. So be sure to read it. But that Alexei Navalny's wife, Julia Navalnaya, I like how the women have a different little suffix on the end of their name than the men. Anyway, she said when Putin killed my husband, he took half my heart, half my life, half my soul, and then she said, but I still have half of me left, and that half is called to continue to work for justice and goodness and right in the world. And I just thought that was so significant to me. Sometimes when we lose something, you just you wonder if you can survive. I just think of widows and widowers. She's obviously involved in a political struggle, and her husband was at the front of it. So maybe a little bit easier for her to stay committed to something meaningful in life. But that our life's not over. Sometimes, when we lose something, it's like, well, what's to live for anymore? What's, particularly maybe older people that lose a spouse. It's like maybe they don't feel like half of themselves are gone, but like 99% of themselves are gone. And so I don't mean to make this a pep talk, like buck up, but I did see an example of someone who said, well, I'm still here. There's still half of me left, and I'm going to try to use it well while I'm here. So I thought that was inspiring. Thought I'd share that with you. Time goes on. I was going to talk about the Pope's comments about Achadia, but maybe not. I don't know. And a new book came out the day before Ash Wednesday, day before Valentine's Day, and it's about Pope Francis. But he wrote the foreword to it, but he didn't write the book. And I read the foreword to it today. I ordered it from Daughters. It's called "First Belong to God." On retreat with Pope Francis. And what caught my attention was Pope Francis, and I love the phrase, first belong to God. You could say, love God above all things. We hear that, right? And, but it's just a little different phrasing. I liked it. First belong to God. Above all things, know that you belong to God. And then he said that we belong to each other. And it's kind of like an 8-day retreat format, and that's what I'm going to do in April, an 8-day Ignatian retreat. And this is supposed to be like an 8-day Ignatian retreat. So I thought, oh, perfect. This is just what I need. So I went ahead and ordered the book. It's $20. And, he said in the foreword, Pope Francis said, all the life-threatening crises that beset us around the world, from injustices against the poor and vulnerable, wars, the ecological crisis, all these problems have their roots in the rejection of the idea that we belong to God and that we belong to one another. We belong to God. We belong to God, O Lord of our longing. We belong to you in our daily livings, dying and risings. We belong to you. I think they sing that at our school mass. So we're at about 30 minutes here, so I'll sign off. I'll let you take in this such a beautiful, calm day. And hope to see you for a parish mission, or if you go up to the Olaf's talks, I hope you find them very beneficial. I'm sure they'll be great. God bless you, everybody.